Did you know that most of what you've seen, read, or heard about Billy the Kid is untrue? My name is Gail Cooper. I'm a medical doctor and forensic psychiatrist. My specialty is murder case consultation for the defense. For 20 years, I've used my expertise to uncover the real Billy the Kid. Researching over 40,000 pages of archival documents and books, I've written the revisionist history. It's shocking, it's liberating, and I've written books demolishing the hoaxes, hijacking the history. My talks will share with you what I've found. Cover-ups, misinformation, and fakery, to use Old West lingo, will bite the dust. This talk presents the Billy the Kid case hoaxes 2003 Mayor's Report announcing its lawmen's participation. The information is from my book, Cracking the Billy the Kid Case Hoax, the strange plot to exhume Billy the Kid, convict Sheriff Pat Garrett of murder, and become President of the United States. Before Billy the Kid case hoax originator, New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, announced it in his June 5, 2003 New York Times front page story, and in his June 10th press conference, he'd been laying the groundwork with his hoax team. Key were his lawmen, the only people other than kin who could legally petition in court for exhumations. By May of 2003, one of those lawmen, Lincoln County Deputy Steve Cedarwall, also a mayor, announced participation for himself and his sheriff, Tom Sullivan, in his monthly mayor's report in the Capitan Village Hall News, which he sent out in his constituents' water bills. That May of 2003, Deputy Cedarwall and Sheriff Sullivan must have felt like they'd won a lottery. As Cedarwall wrote in his mayor's report, DNA matchings for the Billy the Kid case would be done by the lab used for World Trade Center remains. Also, a TV program was in the works. He also boasted about opening the Garrett investigation, claiming no statute of limitations for murder. So his fabrications began at the get-go. New Mexico Territory did have a statute of limitations for murder, and it expired in 1891 for Garrett's 1881 killing of Billy the Kid. But the Billy the Kid case hoax pretended that Garrett's July 14, 1881, Fort Sumner killing was his cold case murder of an innocent victim that had never been prosecuted. That recycled the mid-20th century Brushy Bill imposter hoax, and the mayor's report showed that Cedarwall and Sullivan were opportunistically on board for the Billy the Kid case hoaxes, backing Brushy as Billy the Kid. Pages 2 and 3 of Deputy Steve Cedarwall's May 2003 mayor's report were about the Billy the Kid case. He began with the original version of his and Sullivan's own deputy shooting investigation. It was just a little stunt, checking if Billy the Kid's jailbreak gunshot, which killed his deputy guard James Bell, could be heard outside the courthouse jail. As a cute twist, they did it on April 28, 2003, the anniversary of Billy's 1881 jailbreak. Sullivan fired shots inside. His undersheriff, Rick Verdon, heard them outside. Since this stunt had nothing to do with Garrett as a murderer, Sullivan and Cedarwall changed it for the Billy the Kid case by pretending that it had been a sub-investigation showing that Garrett had been Billy's jailbreak accomplice by leaving him a gun in the outhouse to kill Deputy Bell. Later, when a shady forensic expert was on board for the hoax, they again switched their deputy killing sub-investigation to pretend that he'd found Bell's blood in the courthouse in a location differing from Garrett's report of Bell's killing, to make up that Garrett was a liar, capable of murdering the innocent victim also. On screen is Deputy Steve Cedarwall's May 2003 Flowery Mayor's Report. Excerpted, Cedarwall wrote, on April 28, 2003, at 5 minutes after noon, one of our citizens, Sheriff Tom Sullivan, fired 2 shots in Lincoln, New Mexico. As I heard the shots, a cold chill ran down my back, knowing that J.W. Bell heard the shots that killed him. 122 years before, just minutes after 12 noon, on April 28, 1881, 2 lawmen lay dead in the yard of the courthouse in Lincoln, New Mexico, from gunshot wounds. Quicker than it took New Mexico breeze to clear the gun smoke, history was clouded with the myth of the shooting and escape of William H. Bonney, a.k.a. Billy the Kid, from the makeshift jail where he awaited the date with a hangman. Sheriff Sullivan and I have opened a case into that shooting in 1881. As part of the investigation, Sheriff Sullivan fired off 2 rounds from a .45 long Colt to see if the shots could be heard from the Wortley Hotel. Note that the Wortley is across the street. To our surprise, the black powder rounds could be heard in nearly every part of town. This investigation came about after Sheriff Sullivan and I talked about a man by the name of Brushy Bill Roberts. In 1950, Roberts came to the governor of New Mexico with his attorney, saying he was Billy the Kid. Note that Brushy really came with his hoax mastermind, William V. Morrison, a car parts salesman who pretended to be an attorney. Cedarwall continued. He said that Pat Garrett shot a man by the name of Billy Barlow and buried his body, claiming to be that of Billy the Kid. Roberts said he lived out a life within the bounds of the law under an assumed name and wanted a pardon that was promised to him by Governor Wallace. Note that this shows that, from its start, the Billy the Kid case hoax was an updated Brushy Bill hoax. On the surface of this story, you would say, so what? But if you look at this man's claim, he is saying our sheriff, Pat Garrett, is a murderer. Garrett knew the kid and killed someone else. What this says also is that Pete Maxwell, who said the body is of the kid, is a co-conspirator in a murder. Note that this angle was not later used, but it refers to Maxwell's eyewitness account of the shooting in Billy Bonney's coroner's jury report. And like in the Brushy hoax, it hides the multiple other identifications of Billy's body. There is no statute of limitations on murder. Note that this is untrue for New Mexico, and its statute of limitations for prosecuting Garrett for murder ended in 1891. Cedarwall continued. So the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office has opened the case to pursue the investigation, meaning of Garrett as a murderer. Note the sly switcheroo from their little gun-firing stunt to the murder case against Garrett, the actual Billy the Kid case. Cedarwall continued. If Brushy Bill Roberts is Billy the Kid, then history changes. But if he is lying, we need to clear Garrett's name. Note that filed murder cases aren't done to clear someone, and if they wanted to disprove Brushy, they could just use his birth date of August 26, 1879, making him under 2 at Billy Bonney's killing. I feel this investigation will put a positive light on the county, our town, and the state in whole. Tom Sullivan and I have been in touch with the governor's office, and he is behind us. Note that who made the first contact remains unclear. Richardson's backing was for their real file murder case number 2003-274 against Garrett. But that angle may have been the brainchild of Hoax participant attorney Bill Robbins III to get law enforcement's power to exhume Billy and his mother to fake DNA matching for Brushy Bill. Cedarwall continued. People who are conducting DNA on victims of the World Trade Center have agreed to complete DNA tests for us on remains of persons believed to be Billy the Kid. We have a filmmaker creating a made-for-TV story about this investigation. Note that in 2004, fellow hoaxer and the Billy the Kid case hoax's official historian, Paul Hutton, partnering with a producer, wrote their Brushy backing History Channel fake documentary. We've recruited some of the best investigators in the country from other states to assist in this investigation. Note that other states may mean secret hoaxer, U.S. Marshal Service historian David Turk in Washington, D.C., who helped write the probable cause statement for Garrett as a murderer and added his own. And no best investigators in the country were ever used. Cedarwall continued. The sheriff and I feel this should not only clear up a 122-year-old mystery, but also bring money into our village. Note that Billy's killing is no mystery, and destroying the history wouldn't bring tourists. Tom Sullivan and I know it is a crazy idea, but won't it be fun? Note that the merry hoaxers had visions of fame and fortune dancing in their heads. The mayor's report by Lincoln County Deputy Sheriff Steve Cedarwall left no doubt as to the Billy the Kid case hoax's Brushy Bill thrust. Almost unknown pretender John Miller would be thrown in to keep TV cameras rolling for the hoax's anticipated franchise of pseudo-documentaries featuring their exhumations to solve the made-up mystery of Billy the Kid's killing. The next talk starts the exposure of the 11 Billy the Kid case hoaxers with instigator and backer, then Governor Bill Richardson.